Time for woodblock carving. We basically have 5 different tools. We've got 2 different chisel type tools, where one's just more flat, the other one's more angled and pointed on one edge. We have 3 different gougers for carving or gouging the wood. There is a larger kind of flattened out U-shape gouge. There is a smaller flattened out U-shaped gouge. And then there is a V-shaped gouge. So when you have a shape that you need to carve out, what you do first is we need to outline it. So you're going to use either one of the chisel type tools, okay? Or you could use both of them, and what you do is you put it in the palm of your hand, thumb on top, fingers on the bottom, and you go along the edge. Okay, you can also kind of put your finger on here too, and you push down and you go all the way around the shape. Okay. What this does is this prevents the wood from splintering, that when you carve, it will not go out past the shape into an area that you're not supposed to carve out. So you want to make sure you outline here. The key to good carving is good outlining. So make sure you go all the way around. That's how the flat chisel works. A couple different ways you can use the angled chisel. One is you can also just push it straight down and just maybe push part of it in the wood at a time. Just kind of push part of it, especially like if you have to go around a curve or an area that's kind of rounded off a little bit. You can also have it be flat on here as well and just kind of push it down, but it sticks out at more of an angle. Okay. Again, the same way, you kind of hold it the same way like this, and you can put your finger out on the edge to kind of help steady it, to help control it a little bit better, but you want to work your way all the way around the shape. All right, and then when you go to carve, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the large U-shaped gouge first. Now, pretty much pushing straight down when you outline. Okay, when you go to carve, you're pushing out away from yourself. Hold it the same way, fingers on the bottom, thumb on top. And then when you push out away from yourself, instead of more straight down like I was doing, it wants to move and slide out of place. And you don't want to hold it with your hand, because if you're carving and it slips, it's going to go right into your hand. So we have the bench hook carving brace. So what you do is you take that, slide it over the end of the table, okay? Put your wood block on here, and now when you go to do carving, it's going to lock it in place like this, and then this piece of metal right here holds it in place, and that's much safer that way. So now you can just keep your hand behind it, and when you go to carve, thumb on top, fingers on the bottom, okay? You want to go down, and then you go out towards the middle of the shape, okay? So you go down and then out towards the middle. And you want to make sure you carve away from the lines as you carve. Okay, and move the wood chips kind of up out of the way. So you kind of rotate the wood around. Always keep your hand behind the carving blades as you carve. If you get your hand even with the carving blade or up here in front, even though you're using the carving brace, if you slip, it can still go right into your hand, which has happened to people before. Even if it's next to it, you might get it stuck in the wood and then try to unloosen it, okay? Get it unstuck, and you can go right across your hand, which has happened before. So always keep your hand behind the carving blade as you carve, okay? And you want to go towards the middle, like this. So work your way around towards the middle. So this is how the large U-shaped gouge works, okay? The reason why you do that, if you go towards the lines, like if I start in the middle and go out, then what I can do is I could actually carve underneath where I outlined, and I'm going to take a big chunk of wood out up here or along the edge somewhere. So always start at the edge and go towards the middle when you go to carve. This is how the large one works. And you're going to carve down to the top of the middle layer of wood. This is engineered lumber. Might be a little difficult to see, but there's actually 3 layers of white pine. This is a soft white pine wood. 3 layers, and you want to carve through the top layer to the top of the middle layers where you want to carve to. So it's going to be kind of a pinkish, grayish kind of look and appearance. You want to make sure you carve deep enough and not where you're not carving deep enough. You don't want to carve too shallow. So you want to carve to the top, that top middle layer of the wood. Okay. So that's how the large U-shaped gouge works. I'll go ahead and get the smaller one. Looks very similar. Fingers on the bottom, thumb on top. And you continue to work your way around as you carve, keeping your hand behind it. That works the same way. It's just good for smaller areas that you need to work in as well. Sometimes it'll come out in just big chunks like this. And the reason why you want to save your pieces, for one thing, it's easier to clean up. Another thing is, if you do have a piece of wood come out where it's not supposed to, we can apply a little bit of glue and then tape it down to hold it in place, and then it will dry and be good to go for the next day. If you just get the wood scattered like all over your area and some accidentally gets on the floor, you might not find the piece that you need. So you want to kind of get it up out of the way once in a while, away from the edge of the table. So you can see how I am working my way around and then getting this carved out. Just kind of takes some time. One more tool to demonstrate how it works. Okay, we've got the V-shaped gouge tool. Not going to use this very much. This is mainly for little corners, little areas that are kind of hard to get out. What you do is you push this pretty much straight down, okay, and then just go towards the middle, and it kind of pops the little wood like out of the corner like that when you carve out of the shape. So you go down in the corner and just kind of go out away from you towards the middle, and just kind of pops the extra that's in the corner out. Like that. You can see the color I'm getting to, very similar to this triangle shape I already have carved out, getting down to that top of that middle layer, getting all this white part carved out of there. And this is something you have to take your time at. If you get in a hurry, that's when mistakes and accidents happen. That's when you get a little careless and your hand does get up even with the carving blade or up here in front. Or you forget and you're carving like this towards where you're outlined, and then you actually carve under where you're outlined. Okay, and then you take a big chunk of wood out. So again, always carve away towards the middle of the piece of wood, the shape that you're carving out. Okay. All right, so that is an example of how to carve. When you go to clean up, okay, you take all the wood chips, put your carving brace here, like on the side of the table, and then you can just take the wood chips, okay, scrape them onto your carving brace like that, and then you can go dump them in the garbage can. All right, so those are the basics of carving. If you have questions or need some help, please let me know, and make sure you know exactly what you need to carve out. So please check with me before you start carving so we don't carve out the wrong thing. All right, so thank you for watching.